Hello everybody, welcome to the Legions Arena qualifier, no scout units. Today we have here with us my best friend Jeff Cat. What up, Jeff Cat?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Everybody loves Jeff Cat. Okay guys, so of course today we are going to be doing the I think it's qualifier number 3. This is going to be the no 10 cost units. So just to be clear, this is, you are not allowed to play a 10 cost unit. So no 10 cost units in your deck at all. This should hopefully, the idea is we hopefully see some different games here. We're hoping to see some really interesting stuff. What do you think we're going to see, Jeffrey? What do you think no 10 cost units is going to do to the game?
I mean, obviously, it's going to give everybody an extra unit slot and whatever deck they play, and I pretty much foresee that's the way it's going to play, right? Like, a lot of people are hesitant to change decks up just because that's what they're familiar with, but it does change the beginning of the game quite a bit, because that's where the 10 cost units have the most impact, right? So I don't know. I mean, I guess some smarter players might think about, you know, taking advantage of that, right? I don't know if you might start to see some, like, higher econ decks. Like, I guess Tech is probably still bad in this case, but, you know, like those really strong mid-range decks, like Inferno, for example, I think you're going to see a lot of that. Lots of Giga, like Stank, you know, that kind of stuff. Actually, just more or less nod War Factory, in my opinion. But who knows? Who knows? There could be something interesting.
Yeah, I do think that's possible. I do think we might have a small issue with feedback. If chat could let me know. I'm seeing my microphone triggering when Jeffrey's talking, because obviously I'm on speaker at the moment. So if chat could let me know if you're getting echo of Jeffrey. Obviously there's a minute delay today as well, so it'll be a little while till we get that feedback from chat. But yeah, hopefully hopefully someone can let us know if that's happening. If it is happening, we'll have to figure out a solution. So yeah, obviously no 10 cost units. Interesting to see how that's going to impact things. I think you're probably right that a lot of people are just going to replace their 10 cost unit in their deck with something that doesn't cost 10. Yeah. But you've got to think about how is this going to impact gameplay. Like, no one's going to be able to scout, so that makes rushing better. And
that's true. Yeah, that's a
no
good
10
point.
cost unit, does laser and missile become a viable opening unit? Because obviously, you can't run into rifles, which is the main reason you don't want to play you don't want to open missiles, because you running into rifles is the worst.
Yeah, that's very true.
Chat is obviously saying, I hope we see Scarabs. I think we're all hoping.
Yes.
I think we're all hoping for someone to try some Scarabs.
Yeah, me too. That would be great.
The big downside of Scarabs is that you can run 2 10 cost units into them. We do have our first game ready to go. That's going to be Gwynblade versus Samalot. But before we start, I want you to say thank you very much to Jeffrey and Ensvarja, who are our background staff today. So they're going to be doing all of the work in the background. And of course, if you guys want to support Legion so we can continue running tournaments, you can go to the Buy Me a Coffee, or you can purchase merchandise. There's also should be a prize pool. Yes, here. Let me grab the link for the prize pool very quickly. Here is the link for the prize pool if you want to help out the prize pool. This any donations to this will not simply go to this qualifier alone. They will also potentially, if they get high enough, it'll feed into the grand finals. So that would be good if we could get more for the grand finals and so on. Yeah, so the max prize today is going to be $100. We're currently at $50. So if we get another $50 of donations, we will ramp up that prize pool to $100. Omni says in the VOD you can only hear the echo. Yes. So for some reason that I don't understand, ever since installing Twitch soundtrack, it has a really hard time with other people talking. This has been a big issue repeatedly now, to the point where I'm now locally recording the tournaments as well as streaming, because the VODs are not reliable anymore. So if you're trying to watch this on VOD, it's probably not going to be great, but it will go on YouTube. But you will obviously not get the full experience, because it will be edited down. So yeah, that's why you want to be here. You want to watch it live. That's the best place to be. All right.
Exactly.
So, anything else you want to say before we get started, Jeffrey?
I just want to say thanks to everybody for all the people putting on it. By the way, I think you mentioned me helping in the background. It's actually Kenny. Kenny is a guy who kind of puts us all together, and Yeah, no, it's great to see this. Like, it's fantastic to come back into the scene and see that you know, there's places like Legion running tournaments, and yeah, you know, if you guys feel like supporting us, you know, this is obviously one of the best outfits here in the Rivals tournament scene, and it's a big reason why the game is still exciting and interesting to play. Yeah, consider doing that. But otherwise, I'm excited to play some games here. This is gonna be great.
All right, then I believe if everyone is, if our background staff are ready, I think we can hit game 1 right away.
Let's do it.
Establishing battlefield control.
All right, here we go. We've got Gwynblid versus Samalot, 2 of my stream regulars here. So I am going to have to remain completely neutral on this one. I hope they both win. I hope it's just a draw.
Building online.
All right, so let's take a look at these decks.
Eh?
So on Gwynblid's side, we're seeing basically, yeah, he would be playing dogs instead of Rhino, right? Oh, and Samalot's going for the bike rush.
Oh, so savage, too. And he opened War Factory. That's going to punish him big time. 3 bikes, so I don't know.
I'm so happy to see someone rushing to take advantage of the no 10 cost unit. That is amazing. And Samalot is going to absolutely crush this Harvester.
No kidding. Yeah, that's going to give him a lot of money. And he's only got 2 buildings, right? So he's going to be spending all his money in the War Factory. He doesn't even have a Harvester yet, but this isn't looking so good here. I don't know. Do you think Gwynblid can claw back here?
I mean, the thing about Rivals, and I say this a lot, is a successful rush, unless you push your opponent off the map, all a successful rush does is allow you to build your Harvester, which you probably could have built if you had not rushed. So, I don't think Gwynblid is even... Like, if anything, it's more of like a moral loss, right? Like, he loses some morale because he feels like it's bad to get rushed. But in actual game terms, I don't think it's a significant cost.
Well, here we see the Giga Cannon coming out. I mean, look at that, melting the Pitbull. He's got 2 lasers set up in position, but an MLRS coming out. It depends on positioning here, just like you said, Blade. He has pushed him off a little bit here with this Giga Cannon, but the MLRS has a pretty good spot there, although it is only holding that 1 pad, so I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Yeah, I think the fact that Gwynblid is unable to tech switch into his infantry is hurting him a lot here. Like, Samalot was able to go double building, largely on the back of that Harvester rush. There was some advantage there. Ooh, and MLRS does kill the Giga, but it's not enough. Wow, gets the bikes as well. That's really surprising to see.
Yeah, and he does get the first missile here, which is pretty important. He's got his Harvester online, so economy-wise, there isn't really much of a difference anymore. And now it is going to come down to map position. And seeing this Giga Cannon coming out again, Gwynblid's getting pushed back pretty far, although he does have his barracks up, so he might get those jump jets out in time to deal with it.
Yeah, I think Gwyn has the superior matchup overall, because the MLRS can counter the Giga and the shocks are very good. But it's so hard to say, because GDI is so far behind in this metagame, it feels like.
Yeah,
and although MLRS can counter Giga, Giga kind of just counters everything. The fact that the MLRS shoots over this missile is going to be huge. Oh, wow. Samalot not even noticing that.
Oh, what a smart play there by Gwynblid, moving that MLRS just in front of the missile silo. Like you said, shot right over. The Giga Cannon didn't get moved out of position in time. He has another one here boosted. The jump jets are going to get a few shots off on it. I think the jump jets are going to lose here, though.
Very weird choice to go for the bikes there. Here comes 2 lasers from Samalot. Giga Cannon charge up on that MLRS, but the MLRS will win that fight pretty easily, even against the boost. Wow, okay, never mind. Oh my god. I think Gwyn needed to boost there.
Now look at here, we get coming out of the second missile. I think Samalot's going to take it, but no, he moves the shocks over in time. Chuggy is going to make it there. That MLRS can't clear that Giga, so those bikes are going to hold that bottom pad. But here come the jump jets, and I think that's going to be enough, but the shocks are about to go down, so it's going to even out again. This buggy coming in hot, and I think it might just do the trick, but those double jump jets are going to be a huge problem here. I don't think double buggy's going to win, and of course, he's not moving that MLRS up to deal with that chem buggy. He could do that, although now he's moved the Rhino over, and I think he's got it pretty safely. Oh, there it is. All right, nice comeback by Gwynblid.
Yeah, very nice there. The jump jets really being the critical factor in that one, getting those jump jets on that bottom pad. And I've noticed that both players have been really struggling on economy this game. That lack of the 10 cost unit. Samalot's got 1 20 cost unit. Gwynblid has nothing cheaper than 30. You can really see how this lack of those cheap efficient units to make when you're low on cash. Both players are really ending up quite broke. Well, I say that now they're both getting decent money, but during that missile, both players were actual 0 Tiberium.
Well, it makes it more punishing to lose these heavy cost units like the Chem Buggy and the MLRS and the Gigas. So, I mean, the player that ends up losing more of those is obviously going to be hurt a lot, especially coming into this third missile. But, you know, it's looking pretty good here. He's got 2 MLRSs set up. Those lasers are not going to do anything against the shocks. This Giga Cannon cannot push up. I don't know. It's not looking too good here for Sammerlot.
Yeah, now that we're in this third missile, this is sort of the map I was envisioning when I said that Gwynblade probably had the advantage in matchup. Once you get the MLRS set up with shocks in front, Sammerlot has no way to really breach it, and there it is. Actually, a pretty dominant third missile for Gwyn there.
Yeah. It was. Gwynblade also pulling the Harvester there. That was a great play. Sammerlot had his Harvester moving off the tip fields. He could have moved it onto that right pad, but just didn't notice it. That might have helped him claw back, although I don't know. I think it was a lost cause at that point.
Yeah, I think he was also a little... I didn't see the cash, but both players were definitely starving for cash throughout that game, so... Game number 2.
3, 2,
oh, apologies, guys. I haven't reopened the scores, because on the best of 1 we didn't need scores. There they are. You can now see the scores.
building online.
Okay, so it looks like exactly the same deck as we saw before. It doesn't look like either player's changed anything.
Yeah, which is kind of insane, right? Like, if you're Sammerlot in that spot... Also, we don't see a bike rush this time. So, Gwyn got bike rushed successfully, still opens Rhino against exactly the same deck. And
Yeah,
Sammerlot,
interesting.
Sammerlot loses to MLRS Shock, goes into another map that's pretty similar to the last one in size and shape. Like, as in, it still has this nuclear missile that MLRS is going to sit behind and cover pads.
Right.
So he's in exactly the same boat as he was last time. If an MLRS gets set up with shocks in front of it, he's going to have a really hard time breaking it. So it's really surprising to see absolutely no adjustments here.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, the only adjustment we've seen is the beginning of the game here. We see Gwynblade opening up both buildings right away, jumped into his jump jets to deal with the bikes. But yeah, Sammerlot's getting set up here with his War Factory. He's got bikes and Giga and Chuggy all in place. This Rhino's about to get melted by the Giga Cannon. It's not going to move it. And double Pitbull up on that middle pad as well. Jump jets coming in. The jump jets might be enough to hold the pad here against the Giga, but this this boosted Buggy, oh man, look at that. Just completely decimated them. And here we go. It looks like Sammerlot's going to take the second or the first missile again. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so Gwyn went into his barracks a lot faster this time around. But Sammerlot, it really came down to this boosted jump jet was trying to push in against the Giga, which I think was a mistake because the Giga had already charged up a lot. So you should have waited until it had decharged to go in. And the boosted jump jets went in with the plan of just killing the Giga, and he was like pretty all in on that plan. And the boosted buggy was a very nice play from Sammerlot because it might not look like much, but those jump jets went down a lot quicker because that buggy was boosted. And
right. Well, jump jets don't have a ton of HP, you know. Exactly. Like a lot of people forget that they're a high damage, low HP unit. So yeah, units like buggy with a boost will do some damage for sure.
Yeah, and because the buggy wasn't being shot, the downside of extra 25% damage doesn't matter, so it doesn't affect that matchup because they're attacking the Giga Cannon. And that Giga Cannon is half hit points. That's from like 2 jump jet hits. So even like 1 more jump jet hit, if they live a little bit longer, is a really big deal. And 2 is a huge deal.
MLRS goes down, but he doesn't take the missile, allowing Gwynblade back into the game. Actually, I gotta say, I thought he was really gonna have a chance to open up those pads, but no, unfortunately not. The MLRS was his focus there. And now we're moving into a third missile. The economy is fully ramped by this point, and you know, I look at the money difference here. I mean, Sammerlot is sitting on a ton of cash.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sammerlot was focusing entirely. It's happening again! The missile Sammerlot! He can shoot over it and you can't! Oh, buddy. Yeah, I was going to say, he really focused on that MLRS last missile and then forgot about actually winning the nuke. He was just clearly focused entirely on killing that MLRS.
Now there we see did exactly what you were talking about, moving the lasers in to deal with the volley from the MLRS, and he absorbs a shot there, but he's not moving in the Chem Buggy to deal with those shock troopers, so they go down. This Giga Cannon's just going to sit pretty down at the bottom. They're not doing a whole lot, and you know, I'm surprised he's not moving it into position up onto that top pad to deal with that Pitbull, and that would really give him a lot of map position. But here he goes. He's now moving it up. He's going to start dealing some damage to that Pitbull. Second MLRS coming in will clear that Chem Buggy. Oh, just about. Yeah, there it goes. Lasers coming in through the bottom, and you know what? Sammerlot's looking pretty good. I don't know if this Giga Cannon's going to be able to push up. It's going to be real close here. And wait, MLRS coming in.
He needs to boost.
Oh, look at that beautiful flip. The shots on the bottom pad.
Oh, Sammerlot. That feels bad. It feels like Sammerlot should have had that one. All right. With that said, I believe we are ready to get started on round 2. We've got Atom versus Sin1, so this should be a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, actually, Sin1 playing in some tournaments, that's awesome to see. I love that Alliance Generations. They're a fantastic group. Up against Atom, who ranked 16 on the ladder right now. Man, he's obviously pretty good. And yeah, looking at these decks here, so seeing Scavengers come out, that's interesting, you know, like trying to ramp up the economy a little bit. I mean, Scavengers probably aren't any good, but I don't know, it's an interesting idea. And then of course from Adam here, seeing a pretty standard deck, but he's thrown in Shade. I guess he's listening to Alicia.
Both players with Shade here, yeah. Yeah, both players Shade. Sin1 really heavily reliant on that Shade. Sin1's deck I actually think is really interesting because it is a classic can't beat Pitbull type deck. But he's probably thinking to himself, no one's going to play GDI. Like, what Looney Tune's going to bring GDI? So he's happy to play a deck. This is another interesting thing. If you think it's a tournament meta, you think everyone's going to play Nod because GDI is weaker, which is the generally agreed upon consensus right now, is GDI is the weaker faction. You can just start bringing cannibalistic Nod decks that are designed to beat other Nod decks and don't care about Pitbull or Talon. Like, it doesn't matter if you're weak to Pitbull and Talon if you're only playing against Nod.
That is true. Yeah, Pitbull's a big problem for Nod for the most part. So if you don't have to deal with that, that opens up a few different options. And look at this. We see Scorpion Tank coming out here. We got Buggy and Lasers up on the top pad. And it looks like Adam's going to comfortably take this first missile here with Sin1 not able to push forward. And yep, that is the case. So Adam taking that first missile. But, you know, as we've seen, the first missile doesn't necessarily dictate these games.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sin1, of course, these Scavengers really not looking too strong right now. Sin1's deck, interestingly, is very much... Like, Shade is clearly his MVP in this deck. That is clearly where he wants to be. So, by getting to the second missile, he's now opened up that air tower. He's got his first Shade. This is his way to win the game, I think. Like, the Shade is his main man. Like, that's his guy. He's relying on Shade to do a lot of work here.
Well, except he's having a lot of trouble dealing with these lasers. Like, he needs his Chem Warriors, which are really, really expensive. And he's got Buggy, but, I mean, Buggy's pretty efficient here, but it doesn't seem to be enough.
Yeah, I actually think that we're not seeing enough Buggy from Sin1. I think Buggy, like here, he made a Chem to get into these Flamers and Flamers and Laser, but he should have probably just gone Buggy. Oh wow, that Flamer doesn't go down in time, and that's it. That's all she wrote.
Too bad about the Scavenger strategy. Didn't really quite work out there. Adam, you know, very strong, just pushing him off the map there. And you know what? You're right. Shade was really his key card there. He needed to pull that out to win and just didn't do enough. He wasn't able to get it in position. The lasers were dealing quite a bit of damage to it. And I think the economy hurt a lot too.
Yeah. I think the economy hurt quite a bit. I think the Scavengers hurt a lot because they're just so inefficient. Like, they are, like, it seems weird to say because, like, oh, it's a unit that generates money and it's inefficient. But
right.
it's there's no 10-cost units. That's where Scavengers make their money. Like, you make a lot of money on Scavengers because you have, like, rifle fights or wheel fights or whatever. That's how you make money on Scavengers. With no 10-cost units, I think Scavengers are even worse than they were before. And I think they were pretty poor to start with. So I think Scavengers were a really bad shout. Buggy, I think, is where you want to be. Like,
Buggy is just super efficient, right?
Buggy, like, he made 2 Chem Warriors. I think both of them could have been... If you think about it, like, 2 Chem Warriors, that could have been 4 Buggies. There is no way those 2 chems were more efficient than 4 buggies would have been. Like, 4 buggies would have done a lot more work. Even just against the infantry, like...
like, he was dealing with Scorpion Tank, right? But he had Shade, so if he used Shade alongside the buggies, I mean, he probably would have cleaned up pretty good.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Like, I think the chems were not good there. I think the chems cost him quite a lot. I think we should have seen a lot more buggy. I think Buggy is, you know, a legitimate unit. Like, I've seen a lot of Buggy on ladder. I've been one of the proponents of said things. Like, I'm, as everyone knows, a fully, you know, licensed member of the Buggy Council. Right. I'm in for Buggy, man. I think Buggy's decent anyway. Rhino I don't like, but Buggy I think is legitimately a strong unit. So, if there's no 10-cost units, pump out those Buggies, man. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. Buggy's actually been one of those units that's always been, like, on the fringe of being good, but in a format like this, it actually really starts to shine just because it's so efficient at dealing with a myriad of units. Like, its anti-air isn't incredible, but it's good enough that, you know, it makes you think about it. So, you know, that combined with its excellent anti-infantry damage, it deals with lasers quite well. You know, that with a combined unit, like a combined arms unit, would do very well, and that's exactly what we would have seen from Sin1 had he decided to do that.
All right, so Atom, of course, I have failed to mention so far, but Atom is a serious tournament player in the Czechoslovakia scene. Whenever they do the Czech-Slovak tournaments, Atom is always a serious competitor there. Usually top 2, in fact. I think the last 2 times Atom has lost to Popes in the final.
Yeah, I was going to say Popes and Atom are pretty much like their 2 best, I would say.
Yeah, that's like their 2 top guys. And Popes, I believe, is... I think we've got like Atom 1 seed below Popes, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect seeding. Alright, so we're going to have game 2 is going to be on open water. We're going to have Atom taking on Sin 1, and I think everyone seems to be in the game, so I think we can get it underway.
Establishing.
Alright, here we are.
All right, game 2. And we got GDI versus GDI for the first time. That's exciting. Here on open water, we're going to see MLRS.
Really surprising.
Interestingly. But Borka. Wow, Borka. Okay, so they're doing really scratching for some interesting decks here. I don't know if it's going to work for him, but you love to see it, of course.
Really interesting stuff here. I think Atom's deck is a really bad shout on this map. This is open water. This is the best Giga map in the game.
Right.
And Giga is considered one of the best units in the game right now. So to bring a deck that is primarily a single range War Factory deck on open water is madness. Like, a Giga Cannon protected well against Orcas would spell complete doom for Atom. There's no way he could ever beat that. So really weird deck choice from Atom. Sin 1 looks like he's tried to metagame the map by bringing Borka. He's thinking Atom's going to bring one of these setup 2-range decks. So he's bringing Borka to counter it. So I like Sin 1's choice a lot more, because it looks like it's clearly got a plan to fight on open water.
Well, yeah, and the other problem here is that Atom only has Pitbull and missiles to deal with the Borka, so, you know, a lot's going to depend on economy here. I mean, it depends, but so far, Atom winning the map positioning here. He is going to push up here. These shocks will eventually clear these missiles, and then the Pitbull should hold steady against the Razorback, but Hammerhead coming in to hold a pad, that's going to sit there for a little while. The Rhino and Pitbull probably won't deal with it quickly enough, but it doesn't matter. Moves the Pitbull over, and the Razorback's not going to clear it, so there it goes. Atom gets that first missile again.
Yeah, and I think we can all agree that that Hammerhead was meant to be a Borka.
Yeah, probably, right? It must have been.
I can't imagine why Sin 1 was trying to build a Hammerhead there. There's no way he meant to build a Hammerhead. That was definitely supposed to be a Borka. And I really don't like... I mean, he's clearly brought Borka to beat a setup deck, which Atom has not brought. So Sin 1, although he's brought a better deck for the map, I think he's brought a deck that's intended to counter what he thinks Atom's going to bring on this map, and Atom just hasn't. So Sin 1 is kind of left in the lurch a little bit here. And Borka is not where you want to be against Pitbull. Since the nerf, you can't do much damage to a Pitbull that's running away from you.
Yeah, the big problem here is getting value out of that Borka, and this slow movements. And look at that, it's already gone down. Yep. It only cleared what, like a low HP Pitbull and a Rhino. Really not a whole lot else. And Atom having 3 Pitbulls on the field now with Sin 1 not even having access to his own Pitbull. This is not looking good. I think this is pretty much game. That boosted Pitbull clears that Razorback, and well, with all 3 pads covered with Pitbull Mania, Atom takes it.
Yeah, I don't...
Yeah, it was tug of war. And another GDI grudge match here. I'm really interested to see the decks. Let's have a look. Well, okay, MLRS versus Borka. Okay, so this does change it a little bit, although, you know what, it's going to be like last game where, I mean, he's got Pitbull and Talon. The Hammerhead will shut down the Talons if he gets to that point, but is he going to have enough money to do it? Hard to say.
And interestingly, we see both players actually open missiles this time. So I don't know if this is a meta development of the tournament where people have tried opening other stuff and they're like, oh, this is bad, I'm just going to go to opening missiles. Or if both of these players just have been opening missiles all tournament. But it is interesting to see, as I was saying, the meta develop throughout the tournament. Like, we saw people opening 30 cost units, now people are like, oh, I can just open missiles, that's fine.
Now, having snipers on Oga's side here, that's going to be a huge deal. I mean, as long as he can protect them well enough, he shouldn't have too much trouble dealing with these double shocks. That should force a switch from Tom Eric here before the first missile goes off.
Yeah,
but no, actually he's going into missiles. Okay.
I think snipers are a really good choice on this map. I like snipers a lot here.
Oh, the boosted snipers looks like they're going to clear the boosted shocks, which is going to give Ogas a huge advantage here. And that Pitbull being able to block for them is big as well. He's going to be able to push up, and that means that he's going to secure that first missile. And, wow, even got the Harvester at the same time. Yep. I think he's just won the game.
Yeah, Ogas did the classic Gold League play of missile first, walk straight to the Harvester. And I don't know if Tom Hearn wasn't paying attention, but he just let it happen. He just let it die. He was too focused on fighting these snipers, which he also didn't get. So it's looking really bad for Toman here. These snipers have just been amazing. Like the snipers have been so good this game.
Big, yeah. Just being able to have that 2 range makes such a big difference. Again, it's all about the value game in this format. Like being able to win trades is giving you a huge economy advantage. And you know what? I don't even know if we're going to see Borka come out. I mean, he might just stick with the missiles, snipers, and pitbulls. You know, that's maybe all he needs.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. I mean, if he doesn't, the thing is, he needs. I don't think he wants to block with infantry, because if you block with infantry for snipers, then you can get overwhelmed by a ton of shocks. But you can do what Ogres is doing here, which is to go multiple snipers. It becomes very difficult to overwhelm multiple snipers. Wow, here comes a Borka. This feels like a misplay to me, because this Borka is not particularly relevant right now, and there's a chance he accidentally bombs his own stuff, and that feels like the only way he loses the game.
Right, well, he did manage to secure it, but yeah, I agree with you. Having said that, though, I mean, those snipers really just won in that game so hard. Yeah. It was almost like a win more card at that point, and yeah, Ogres takes it. Wow, well played.
Yeah, exactly. It is exactly what you say. It was exactly a win more. It was win more. Like, he'd already won, and he was like, I'm going to make a Borka for funsies now. And that was a savaging, and I'm surprised by that savaging. Oh, sorry, apologies, guys, I updated the wrong score. I'm surprised by that one, because I think Toman is a pretty competent player, and he just he just fell apart in that one. I don't know what was happening there.
The snipers were just so crushing, especially the boosted snipers versus the boosted shocks, and that was 70 tib down the drain, right? And from there, it just snowballed so heavily, and yeah, Tom just seemed to fall apart from there. But well, this is a best of 3 series, so he's got a chance to come back. Yeah,
he does of course have a chance for game 2, which is going to be on open prairie. Yeah, the snipers were absolute savages. He never even made it to Talon, really. He got like 1 Talon out right at the end. Even if he had made Talon, I don't think it really helps him, because Ogres' game plan is going to be sniper with Pitbull in front, so Talon isn't going to break that, and neither is Shock. So
exactly.
I mean, you know, that's the level 1, right? He's gone two range unit on that map. Tom did the same sort of thing. He was trying to go MLRS, but the snipers beat the shocks, which was ended up being the critical part of the format, because the MLRS isn't relevant if the snipers beat the shocks, because then you can't block the missiles from getting to your MLRS. So,
now, do you see Drone Swarm make a play potentially? Like, that seems like it would be a decent meta change in this format, but I don't know. Going to a 3rd building seems like it's just too difficult. You know, like as soon as you start to lose your economy, and you know, especially if you have to rely on that unit, that 3rd building in any way, I mean, that could lose you the game right there, right? So,
I think there is a lot of like patch hangover from the previous patch, where people are still playing Talon when maybe they should be playing Drone Swarm, because last patch there was so much air and Talon was such an important unit. So everyone's sort of in this like slow grind to progress forwards to make the new changes. Everyone's like, oh, I've been playing Talon for 6 months and Talon didn't really change, so I'll keep playing Talon.
True enough, yeah.
So yeah, I think that people probably shouldn't be playing Talon as much anymore, but they still are, because it's just what they're used to now.
I mean, it is good in some ways, but like, you know, the value game is so strong, and Pitbull is one of the highest value units in the game. You know, the one thing that I have to say is surprising is that GDI is being played as much as it is. I really thought that Nod, like we were talking about, would be the way to go, but you know what? Like, GDI's actually been doing really darn good, you know? So I think we're going to expect to see a lot of Pitbull, which shuts down stuff like Talon quite easily. Whereas, you know, Drone Swarm with the 5-man squad at least survives a little bit better. But having said that, once you start to drop off 2 or 3 units, the DPS drops so much. I don't know if it would have been enough, but who knows? Maybe we'll see it.
Yeah, maybe. So we're pretty much set up for the next game. We've got Toman versus Ogres game 2. I think we're ready to start. Everyone's in the game, so yeah, let's get it underway.
Oh, and here we are, complete change into Nod versus Nod. It was Jackson versus Jackson. We got Oksana versus Oksana. You love to see that. Now it's probably gonna be Giga, I assume. And no, okay, we got Inferno versus. Oh, love to see it. Scarabs,
yes,
with
Scarabs.
The
Let's go, Toman. Let's go.
Will it actually be good? Well, you know what? Against an Inferno, maybe, right?
I mean, Ogres has 0 units that can trade efficiently with Scarabs. Like, actual zeros. The only way that he beats Scarabs, really, that I can see, is by having defending flamers to stop them getting into position. Like, that's...
Right.
Otherwise, it's really hard. It's really hard for him to beat Scarabs. I actually think Tomo should be trying to make even more Scarabs here. I think Scarabs... Yeah. I would have tried to get my Scarabs right onto the middle as well if I was Tomo, and to, like... Here they come, second set of Scarabs.
Oh man, this is so awesome. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, the Scarabs coming in, and I agree with you. Getting more set up will give him map position, and that's really what the Scarabs are going to offer him here, because Ogres can't really push in that well. I mean, he is going to have to use, what, 2 Flamers into 1 Scarab? That's going to be a huge deal bad. But just to win the missile, that might be what happens here. So here we go. The bikes are on the bottom there. He's got the Flamers in position. It doesn't look like he can... Oh, the flip! Oh my god! The masterclass flip!
What a great flip!
Wow, he lost a lot of money, but he won the missile. Amazing.
What a great flip. And that of course is the issue with playing a 2-pad game plan, especially with Scarabs, where you can't block with Scarabs because you can't move them up. You have to leave them where they're standing. So I actually think what Tommen should be trying to do potentially is have his Scarabs at the front of the pad and just use them as aggressive economic traders. Like, have them at the front of the pad where Ogres can't get near the pad without walking onto them and taking a bunch of damage.
Oh, I'm just beside myself. That was so amazing. What a thing to see. But here we go. The boosted mutants trying to tickle that tank and don't really do the job. The Flamers are in position to block it. So, again, Tom Eric, he doesn't have his Scarabs out anymore. He's lost position on the map here. And the Scorpion tank is about to go down, but the Flamers take care of it. And this Chem Buggy here looks like it will die to the Scorpion. It's real close here. And can he get onto that top pad? Not with the Scarabs there. And he's going to block here. Does he have it? He does. Wow. Oga's taking it there against the Scarabs. And... man, that flip, holy cow, what a game. What a
savaging, man.
Whew.
What a savaging. That is, I mean, wait.
All right, yeah, okay, Nod versus Nod, but we're seeing Seth here, at least on stream for the first time, and on a map like Orbit, that makes a ton of sense. We've got three pads that are very far apart, so yeah, I gotta say I like that. Let's have a look at these decks, though. We got Fnatic, well, not Fnatic Aggro, no wheels, of course, but Buggy is there to support them, and then on Adam's side, he's running Shade with Tick Tank and Stealth Tank. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, Boswell is a big fan of Seth. Boswell absolutely loves Seth, so I'm not super surprised to see a Seth from him. Boswell also really likes playing the aggro Scorpion deck. So yeah, Boswell's deck is not a surprise to me at all. Atom's deck, also yeah, Atom's deck looks pretty similar to the kind of thing you'd expect to see Atom play. I'm surprised to see Boswell playing Fanatics over Flamers, though. I actually do think Fanatics are quite poor in this patch. Especially because everyone is playing Flamers and Shocks, and Fanatics got even worse against those.
Right, yeah, that is a good point. Flames are quite good, especially in this format here. They're very efficient. Fanatics, I mean, yeah, the boost you could argue would give you a lot of extra value, but that's really if you get them set up right, and as long as your Fanatics also get value on their own. But I have to agree with you. I think the Flames are going to shut them down pretty hard. It just depends, you know, what Adam builds. And I don't know, this Tick Tank here, not really doing a whole lot so far. Double Buggy up at the top, chewing away at those bikes, and the Flamers are going to come in, but I'm not sure what he's doing there. Those Double Buggy is going to do pretty good, and Laser almost clears the bikes there. And these Laser and Buggy, I think, are going to hold that top pad, although it's looking pretty close here. We've got a Tick Tank coming in. He's not going to get the block on it, so that's going to be a big problem here for Boswell to deal with. That Scorpion tank won't do too much, and I think the Flames will clear those lasers just in time. Although, oh, so close. The Scorpion tank nearly got there in time. Don't know if it would have been enough, but it would at least let him held on.
Yeah, I think Boswell needed to be making more Scorpions in this game rather than less. He keeps making lasers to try and fight the Ticks because he wants something efficient. But actually, one of the best things to do against Ticks is to send in an infantry to absorb the shot and then raider tanks. And try and raider them in for a single shot, then back out before the Tick fires back. Right. Because tanks they're just so good, and lasers are so vulnerable to the Flames or Buggies. So it's a lot easier to use raider tanks to do things there.
Yeah, you're right. The lasers just don't do enough damage to them over time, and the Tick Tanks are going to hold the pad steady, and so far that's playing out well to Adam's favor. You know, and look at that. He does get the Harvester down, which he's already got tons of cash, so I don't know if that was necessarily the best use of those two tanks, and here we go. That Tick Tank is going to clear that Scorpion tank. He split them up, which is not great. That Shade will be able to clear with those 3 missiles it's got. Stealth Tank coming in a little bit here. Can it clear the Shade in time, get onto the pad? We got Stealth Drill Pod coming in, and oh, he just managed to flip, but here we go. Shade on that far left, and then the Stealth Tank's not going to be able to get it in time, and there it is. Adam takes the game.
Yeah, Atom, pretty dominant victory there. The Tic Tanks, normally I would say Tic Tanks are not great on that map because obviously it's a free pad map, pads are split up. Your Tic Tanks are often going to be unsupported, and the Raider of the faster movement speed, well, they're the same speed as Scorpions, and they both have Raider. What I'm trying to say is the Scorpion's ability to move without having a significant negative impact on its abilities is a big deal on a map like that. The problem was that Atom got Tick out first, and the reason for this is that Boswell was making buggies to fight Flamers, whereas Atom just went like laser Flamer, pretty much.
That's right.
So then Atom was able to get the tanks out first, and you have to stop those ticks from getting into position. So Boswell wanted to be the guy with tanks first to stop ticks from moving up. Once the ticks were in position, Boswell kind of fell apart a little bit. It wasn't going well for him. It didn't look great. And yeah, you know, these things happen. I think Boswell looks a lot rustier than Atom does. Atom's looking very polished at the moment. He looks like he's been playing a lot of Rivals. Boswell looks like he has not played much Rivals, and he looks very, very rusty right now.
Yeah, like, you know, once he got those 2 tanks online, it was just too close to the end of the missile there before he could really extract a lot of value. And, you know, he did go for the Harvester, but again, it was just too little too late. And actually, interestingly, the economy didn't really seem to impact that game a whole heck of a lot, even though they both were building pretty expensive units. We did see 1 stealth tank come out as well, but yeah, no, it just wasn't enough.
All right, so we are gonna be doing, next game is gonna be on Flooded Fields, which is the favorite map of the artist formerly known as Agent Shadow.
Oh, Agent Shadow. Oh man, he's not playing anymore, is he?
He has not been playing for a while. Yeah, hasn't been playing for a while. Also, just to address this once again, since anyone who hasn't been here for the last 3 days of streams, I didn't get a haircut. I know this is like the controversy right now. I didn't get a haircut. Like, I just not wearing my headset. That's literally it. The hair is exactly the same. I just don't have a headset on. That's why you're all shocked and surprised by the hair, because it looks different when there isn't a headset on it.
That's hilarious.
Okay, glad we can cover that once again. We've talked about this every day since I got back from holiday.
Right on.
This is the new thing that we talk about on my stream. This is apparently what my stream is about now. Thank you, Snipes, for that Prime, my dude. Much love.
Hey, nice
I know,
to
right? I think Snipes should come and play some Rivals tournaments, because you don't have to whale up to play Rivals tournaments. And Snipes' biggest issue with Rivals is he's a big old whale.
That's right. He was the OG whale, wasn't he?
He was one of the OG whales, yeah. I don't know if he's the OG. I mean, he never, like, Nivmet whaled way harder than Snipes.
Oh, that's true. You're right.
Although,
yeah.
I'm trying to think who was the guy who like first dropped cash, obviously, on ladder. Maybe Snipes will know the answer to this. I feel like Sud was one of them for sure. Like, Sud went from slightly lower level than all the people who've been playing longer than him to like 2 levels above everyone, pretty much the day that microtransactions came out.
Well, and then the first Mega Whale was, I believe it was Derek, if I'm not mistaken.
Derek was the first Mega Whale who paid, according to Xscoundrel, $15,000, which is a complete fabrication, but yet it has been quoted for the last 3 years as an accurate number. Anyway,
that's crazy.
one of my pet peeves, people being like, "Hey, that guy spent $15,000." I'm like, no, just because you saw it. Like, spoiler alert, guys, most of what you see on YouTube isn't actually factually accurate. Okay,
yeah.
Let's get the next game underway. Atom versus Boswell. Let's go.
Establishing battlefield.
Game number 2.
Atom, of course, won.
We're seeing so much GDI. Like, what is happening?
I know, right? I have to agree with you. And actually, not seeing a lot of MLRS. We've seen it a couple times, but yeah, that's not going to change here. We see actually 2 pretty vanilla decks. I mean, we got Mohawk instead of Predator on Boswell's side, and he's running Orca. Not really any heavy anti-air, which, you know what? I don't think Hammerhead's going to do a whole lot in this game anyways. So I don't know. Does he really need Orca in this case? Probably not. Maybe for the Pitbulls, but other than that, I think the Predator tank's going to be pretty darn good, even against the Jump Jets.
I think the Orca makes some sense because we're seeing a lot of War Factory-centric decks. I actually think Boswell's Mohawk is really good. I think that's going to be insanely good, because the only things that kill the Mohawk are like Pitbull and Missile.
Yeah, true.
And then both players have shocks, so it's going to come down to a shock mirror. So if Boswell can get to the point where he's making a lot of Mohawks with shocks, that's what he wants to be doing this game. He really just wants Mohawks and shocks. Like those two units will beat everything in Atom's deck.
Right. Yeah, you know, it is his third building, and that is going to cost him a lot for that first Mohawk, a full 100 tip just to get there. But, well, we'll see how that plays out. We got this first missile coming down. Pitbull's going to clear that Rhino, and it looks like he's going to get onto the pads there. The jump jets aren't going to hold against the shock, but he will hold that left pad in time just to take the missile. And there we go, Boswell taking the first missile against Atom. Nice to see that.
Yeah, very nice play there from Boswell. Really, the speed of the jump jets versus the speed of the Predator was what decided that missile. Boswell were able to consistently keep his vehicles away from the Predator because it's so slow. But the jump jets, the Predator was not really that relevant. All it did was chase the vehicles away from the pads, and they just went to different pads. Whereas the jump jets were able to repeatedly pressure and swap, and then block at the end of the missile. So the jump jets were really good there. I actually was unsure that he should have gone jump jets. I feel like he could have maybe just gone Mohawk. Like, instead of going for the jump jets, save up and just go straight into Mohawk. But I don't know which is better. The jump jet's one of the missiles, so it's hard to argue with that one. I just think it'd be really interesting to see what would happen if he just went straight into Mohawk instead.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the timing might have been off, but I think you're right. Like, a Mohawk would have held the pads quite easily, and the Pitbull certainly wouldn't have cleared it in time. So yeah, actually, I don't know if it might be a wash at the end of the day, but it would have been very interesting. And, you know, look at this. So Atom really making a clawback here. He's got those shock troopers, but they're going to lose down to the Rhino. He's going to push onto the pads, but it doesn't matter. He's got all three. That shock trooper should hold, but the jump jets, oh, just about, it was real close. But yeah, nope, Atom's going to come back and win that second missile.
Yeah, and Boswell's got his air tower open now, but hasn't actually made a Mohawk yet. I'm hoping, yeah, now we've got finally time. We've got third missile. We finally have reached the point where Boswell can afford to third building. This is, again, it's a symptom of this format with no 10 cost units. It's a lot harder to save up whilst continuing to fight. So it's a lot harder to get that third building online. Like, it's a lot later than it would be in a normal game of Rivals. And the Mohawk comes out and immediately has a massive impact. Like, it's cleaned up pretty much all the vehicles. It's almost dead doing it, but it killed what? Like a Predator and a Pitbull and maybe half a Rhino. I'm not 100% sure how much it killed. But it definitely killed a bunch of units. And I think Boswell's just waiting for PopCap to start spawning more of those, because I think that's where he wants to be, like shocks and Mohawks.
Right. Yeah, that would deal with just about everything that Atom has to offer. So should he get there, he might be able to do this. He's got these jump jets out, though. I don't know if they're really going to do a whole lot, but they will be able to hold against that Pitbull. And Mohawk gets in place. The shock trooper's coming in. He needs to get onto that far left pad. Atom getting 2 out of 3, but hold on a minute. We see a bit of a flip here. That Mohawk moving and is not able to secure the pad, but it's so close. The Pitbull's going to clear it in one shot, and now it looks like Atom's pretty got it down. And yeah, there we go. It was real close there. I think there was a bit of a misplay to move that Mohawk up to the far right pad. I think he should have held it in place, but it was tough. It was real tough there. The Mohawks just weren't fast enough, I think. Let's do it. Okay, well, GDI versus Nod. Okay, this is another interesting match, potentially. We got, of course, boost commanders, and it makes sense that we're seeing a lot of cheap commanders because of the economy. But let's have, oh my, okay, very interesting. We see, well, okay, Bobby playing Scarabs, you love that. And then Zeissman going for the Razorback with Slingshot, and he's got Grenadiers. I obviously don't like Zeissman's deck at all. He's got two pretty poor units that aren't really great in terms of value, whereas Bobby has quite a lot of high value units. He's got Flames and potentially Scarabs, and then he's also got Buggy and Bikes. I mean, it looks like Bobby's got a far better deck here.
Yeah, I kind of agree. He's also got the Scarabs, like Zeissman's deck. Zeissman's cheapest unit is now 30. He doesn't even have a 20 cost unit.
Right.
So I'm really surprised to see Bobby go for the Scarabs here. Like, the Scarabs on the backpad don't do anything right now. They're completely irrelevant. What he needs is a way to fight back against Rhinos, because Rhino spam is crushing his lasers. So, I guess the thing is, again, no 10 cost unit. Zeissman doesn't have a spare unit to go and sit on the backpad. Nice micro from Bobby not to lose a Scarab to that Rhino. Very nice there. But yeah, surprised to see him get, like, if he could have got the Scarab set up on the middle this early, then I'd be 100% in favor of it. But getting them set up on the back, like, who cares?
Yeah, that's where he needs to be, because that's going to give him way more map advantage. And like you said, it's not really doing him any favors here. Those shocks are chewing up them lasers, and we got these Rhinos coming out, not really doing a whole lot so far. Although, having said that, they've been decent at best. But here we go. You know, again, looking pretty good here for Zeiss when he's got the Rhino on that back pad. The shock troopers there are going to block the Bikes and the Buggy from getting on. And can he get the block here? It looks like yes, he will. And there it is.
Oh,
wait
no,
a minute.
he missed
a little bit of a flip here. I don't think it's going to matter too much, but wait a minute, maybe. This boosted Pitbull comes in. It's going to deal with the Bikes. And it looks like that might be enough to push him back off the pad, and it looks like that is the case. Great micro there from Zeissman to secure that middle pad and take the first missile.
Yeah, I like Bobby's deck, but he doesn't have an answer to Pitbull. It's a classic Nod conundrum, right? Like, he puts Scarabs in his deck at the cost of the unit that would fight Pitbull. So, he's actually really weak to Pitbulls now. And the Gren plus Razorback... The Scarabs are really good if Bobby can ever get map control to set them up. But because he doesn't have a good answer to Pitbull, he's really struggling to get control of the middle. If he gets control of the middle and puts Scarabs there, it's going to be really difficult for Zyson to beat it. But how does he ever... It's going to be so hard to set him up. I mean... Boosted. Oh no. Yeah. Oh wow. Oh my god. Oh, I take it all back. What the? Wow.
That was a little bit lucky, I have to admit. Zeissman made a misplay with the micro and the Razorback, but wow, okay, so the Grenadiers get on in the middle pad there. The Razorback, will it be enough? I don't know. The Booster Flames are taking extra damage. It's going to be really close here. The Scarab's coming in. I don't think it's going to be quite enough. The Stealth Tank, will it clear the Pitbull? It will, but he needs to get on the pad, and he does. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. He's got the flip, and oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Holy cow.
Major structural damage.
And Bobby, like, I mean, those Scarabs on the back pad, that Razorback headed over there, then thought better of it when it realized there were Scarabs over there.
Yeah, right. Oh boy.
Yeah, you can see
that was amazing.
These Pitbulls, man. These Pitbulls are causing Bobby so much problem. Like, it's so difficult for him to ever pressure into Pitbulls, and he needs to do that if he's gonna get the Scarab set up. Oh, there goes the Razorback though. Actually, kind of a big deal. If he can get this, if he can get another Scarab in position, nah, the new Razorback's here too early.
Yeah, so he got another Razorback. He's got plenty of money. He's actually got a little bit more than Bobby here. These Grenadiers actually doing an okay job. They got a lot of hit points, so they're difficult to take down. And of course, Bobby has to rely on Flames to take him down. But he's, you know, building a combination of Scarabs here, which is eating up his economy. I don't know if it's really the right choice, but here we go. Stealth Tank coming in. Will it get clear of this Razorback? And not looking too good here. The Flames are clearing up the Grenadiers, but again, taking a little while. And with the Razorback to support, it is chewing up those Flamers pretty quickly. And the Stealth Tank just can't get into position with that low HP. It's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the extra hit points on the Grens rather than missiles is having a really big impact on this matchup, because the Flamers can't kill them quickly enough through a Razorback. If they were missiles, they'd go down quickly enough, but because they're Grens, they are beefy enough to hold off that Stealth Tank. And it's really, that's what's dominating this game, is the fact that Bobby just can't get through this combo, and he can never set up the Scarabs because of this Gren Razorback combo. And I think that's it. There it is.
Nice
Zyson
micro there from Zyson.
Oh man, you gotta think, if Bobby had just had a tank in his deck to beat the Pitbulls, then the Scarabs would have been absolutely dominant. But
yeah,
he just couldn't take up position against. Maybe not with the Grens, but he just couldn't get position. He couldn't get position against the GDI.
And you know what? Like, it started, you know, I said at the beginning that I didn't like Zeissman's deck at all. And the Slingshot was obviously a bad choice, but because there were no air units in Bobby's side. But you know what? The Grenadiers, it seems like they're taking on a different role now. Like, they don't necessarily need to be a high damage unit like Mutant Marauders and get into position. The fact that they absorb a lot of hits, like that was enough for the Razorbacks to gain value and clear off their infantry, which really put Bobby up against the wall. I mean, he had to rely on Scarabs, and it just didn't really work out for him, you know? But you know what? A game like that could have gone either way, I think. Like you said, had he got those Scarabs onto the middle pad in the first place and maybe was able to extract a little bit more value. Although, I gotta say, that double hit with that Scarab, that was awesome.
That was pretty great. But that was pretty lucky, though. It was kind of nuts.
Interesting, man. You know what? Like, this has completely shifted the meta. Like, units can take on different roles, and deck composition matters so much. Like, oh man, you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to even like look at the decks at the beginning of the game and be like, yeah, like this makes sense anymore, because it's just so different.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like, that the Grens are normally pretty bad. It's really interesting for the Grens to be like actually a good unit here.
They played like an APC in that deck, really.
Exactly. It's just so strange. It's also, if he'd been playing Missile Razorback, then the Buggy would have been really good against him, because Buggy can walk into Missile Razorback and kill the missiles. But they don't do anything to Grens. Like, Grens just shrug off the Buggy. So it's interesting to see, because so many people are playing Buggy, the Grens are a lot better than they would normally be, because they just hard counter Buggy in a way that Missile doesn't.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man, this is great. Okay, like, whoever came up with the idea for this, you gotta give them a gold star, because holy crap, this is great. Like, this has been some of the most exciting rivals I've been a part of for a long time. Like, this has been fantastic.
Yeah, I actually don't remember whose idea it was. I think apparently it was Tank. Tank Rivals said to do ban 10 cost units. So great job, Tank. What's going on here? Kenny is falling apart, chat. Apologies. Okay, chat. So yeah, we're just having a little miscommunication in the featured zone. Kenny's getting confused about what's going on. It's okay, Kenny. It's okay, buddy. We all believe in you.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You're amazing, Kenny. Don't worry about it.
All right, so we're gonna have game 2 of Zeisen versus Bobby. We're waiting for Bobby.
I don't even know what you do like in the second match, right? Like, how do you change things up? Like, it really is about the map at the end of the day. I think that plays a big role, but I mean, just like the different decks that we're seeing here, like there's so much variety. I really thought people were just going to start playing meta decks without a 10 cost unit, but that's not really what's happening. Although to some extent it is, but I mean, granted, when we saw Sinwin playing like Borka, it was extremely underwhelming. But the Grenadiers actually turned out to be pretty good. So yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, really surprising to see the Grenadiers be good, especially against like a Scarab deck.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It came down to the fact that like Bobby's deck was kind of cheap in an attempt to facilitate these Scarabs, I'd assume. But then it ended up hurting him a lot because he had no way to beef his way through Pitbull. And it looked like it kind of looked like a deck where he'd gone, oh, I just won't worry about Pitbull because no one's playing GDI, and then he got wrecked because his opponent was playing GDI.
Yeah,
which I
think you have to always be thinking about Pitbull.
Yeah. All right, we are here, ready to go. We've got both players in game. Game number 2. All right. Zeisen versus Bobby.
Okay, so here we are, GDR versus Nod again, and we are here on Lone Spire, which, you know, I love Lone Spire. I think it's a great map. But, oh, wow, look at this change up. Okay, so we got Snipers with Drone Swarm, seeing that for the first time, and, of course, Pitbull. And then here on Bobby's side, he's running Banshee with Venom. I don't know about that, but who knows? Is Banshee really that cost-effective? It's hard to say, right?
So I think Banshee's kind of bad. I think it's even worse against GDI.
Especially against Pitbull.
Zweisen's deck is Alicia Destiny's ladder deck at the moment.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting, yeah. Zweisen, I mean, Alicia was in the chat at the start of the tournament saying, oh, my decks don't have 10 cost units, people should just copy my ladder decks. So I guess Zweisen took that to heart.
Now, you do like to see Venom here because Venom is an excellent 30 cost unit. It is one of the most efficient air units on Nod's side. And against these snipers, it should be pretty good, but it's not going to be able to push in against these triple missile here. So, I don't know. It's kind of a wash at this point. I mean, he really needs to rely on a bunch of flamers here to come forward. But here we go. We got the first missile coming down. Boosted Pitbull. It doesn't block. Oh, almost got the block there, but didn't. And the flamers take that pad. And, well, that's going to be enough for Bobby to take the first missile.
Yeah, pretty interesting how that went down there. Like, a lot of units scrambling for position. Bobby ends up coming out on top of that one. I do like Venom, actually. Yeah, I think Venom makes a lot of sense in this format because, you know, it kills all infantry, and everyone's going to be playing expensive infantry.
That's right.
Because there is no cheap infantry to play, so you know there's going to be like 40 cost or 50 cost infantry to kill. I'm not sure about the Banshee though. And again, Bobby just doesn't have an answer to Pitbull, right? Like, I don't know why Bobby hates Scorpion Tank so much, but both games the Scorpion Tank would have been a big deal. Although this time Zweisen has the Predator, so actually not as big a deal.
Yeah, Scorpion would be okay. Maybe even like Shade in place of Banshee would be better. But even then, like it's so tough. When you get a couple of Pitbulls out on the field, the Raider ability is just so powerful that it's really difficult to overcome that.
And here we see Bobby using bikes to kill snipers. Snipers are so low hit points. This is the thing you can legitimately do. If you don't have a way to break them with infantry, you can just use vehicles to attack them.
Okay, well, I think we're about to see a flip. Yep, there we go. Snipers on that far left. Will the Banshee get there in time?
And no, doesn't get there in time.
But not quite. And of course,
the Predator.
It didn't get the block with the lasers. And, well, there we go. Zeisen takes that for second missile.
Zeisen evening it up here. Goes for a hammerhead for these Banshees. I think that's a bit of an overcommitment. I don't think you need a hammerhead here. Although, I guess there is also Venoms to deal with, so it is legit to get a hammerhead out. There are going to be targets for it.
it will pretty much shut down any area unit Bobby decides to build. And yeah, I kind of agree with you. Maybe he just uses Pitbull, but yeah, Hammerhead at this point in the game, as long as he can protect it, it is going to make it difficult for Bobby to gain any value out of his area units. And yeah, so far let's see if that happens. So the Flamers push up against the snipers. We got a Predator tank getting taken out by that Banshee actually, but moves a Hammerhead over. And of course, Hammerhead only needs what? Is it 2 or 3 shots?
2 for
only
a Banshee now. Yeah, Banshee's basically a Talon now.
Oh, but goes down to the lasers. That's a huge economy loss there for Zeisswin. A bit unfortunate because that Hammerhead could prove to be useful, but we are only a third way into this third missile, so plenty of time to get another one online if he needs it.
Yeah, I think Zeisswin is making too many Predators here. I mean, all he needs is snipers and pitbulls, right? Like, Bobby hasn't got a good answer to pitbull except laser. So all you need is snipers and pitbulls, but he's making a lot of Predator tanks to fight bikes and stealth tanks, but Pitbull can fight both of those things as well and is a lot cheaper and will also not fold to the Banshees. So
I don't know why he didn't shot the tank there. A little bit of missed micro there from Bobby on that stealth tank, but it's okay here. I think Zeissman's going to take all 3 pads. There you go. That Predator tank took out that stealth. Drone Storm coming in just to, just to make sure. But yeah, Banshee extremely underwhelming in this matchup.
Yeah, Banshee looked real bad there, and classic caster thing. I talk about how the Predators aren't great, and then the Predator just having a lot of hit points wins him the missile.